Hello and Sandy Bonani. It's top tier Breakaway League racing. Today we're out in Hungary and we're getting set and ready for 35 laps of racing. It is race number 23 in Tier 1, the penultimate race as far as the calendar is concerned, but do remember that after the 24th and final scheduled race on Thursday, there is also one more race that this group has to complete, and that is out in France, which will be communicated in due time. But today it's race 23 of 24 according to the calendar, and of course the reigning champion, the man who successfully defended his title, Cycle, is here. He is in the lobby. We look forward to having you for what is sure and set to be a fantastic show. Key Music is already in the comment section. Let's get the show on the road, says Key Music. Yes, we're going to do just that. 35 laps of racing, a full qualifying session as well. I understand that the likes of Cycle and Mfundo have been putting in the hard yards in the simulator, trying to get those qualifying times to be absolutely phenomenal and just getting those laps in. So it doesn't look like Mfundo is in the session yet, but as always, Cycle is someone whose times and efforts we can definitely look forward to. Thank you for choosing Breakaway League Racing. It's top tier. The top tier drivers that are out here racing. And before we dive into the qualifying session, I just want to give you a sense of the league's standings, as well as, of course, the promotion and relegation permutations. Let's start off with the Constructors' Championship. Cycle, of course, is the champion, according to his fantastic season. And thanks to his efforts, Ferrari have racked up 367 points, placing them at the top of the Constructors' Championship standings. Mello and Van Kobe in the Mercedes lineup are currently P2 in the Constructors, and Alpine, Lungs, and Seppo are currently third. Now, Mercedes have 359 points, and Alpine have 339 points. So, a fantastic looking Constructors table there. And in fourth place is Haas, that's Titus and Nebo, 256 points. And Mfundo and Buddha and the Aston Martin are in fifth place in the Constructors standings, 189 points. D-Wax and Selby Sango and AlphaTauri are in sixth place, 143 points. In seventh place is the Williams team of Loveness and the 86er, 136 points. And Red Bull are currently in eighth place in the Constructors' Championship, 116 points. McLaren are ninth, that's Damnesia and Romeo in P9, 120 points. And at the bottom of the Constructors' standings is Tindo and Spizozo for Alfa Romeo, 106 points. Getting back to the Drivers' Championship standings, we've mentioned that Cycle successfully defended his title. He, of course, is P1, 365 points, a tally that cannot be matched, that cannot be reached by the second place running Mello the Mello, 238 points for the Mercedes driver. Lungs in the Alpine is third in the driver's standings, 184 points, and Titus is fourth, 182 points, so quite close between those two. Teppo Temba, who's had a fantastic debut season for Alpine, he is P5 in the driver's standings, 155 points. We then have Van Kobe in P6, Loveness is 7th, Mfundo is 8th, as Buddha is 9th, and D-Wax in the AlphaTauri is P10 in the driver's standings. The bottom 10 in this tier, Josh, aka Damnesia, has already claimed a race win this season. He has 82 points. He's in P11. And Lebo is P12. Zotile was in danger of automatic relegation just some time ago, but he's managed to fight his way back towards the tail end of the season. He sits in P13. Tindo is 14th. Selby is 15th. Caboza is in 16th place. Spizozo is 17th. And the automatic relegation places belong, at the moment, to Romeo, the 86er, and Man Ray. Romeo has 38 points. He's level with Spizozo, I would have you know. The 86er has 24 points, and Man Ray currently has 20 points. So Man Ray would need a miracle. Man Ray would need at least 2 victories, or at least a victory and perhaps a decent podium finish to guarantee his spot in Tier 1 next season. So as things are looking, it's Man Ray looking like, he's going to have to walk the red carpet, welcoming him to Tier 2. From the red of Ferrari to the red carpet of Tier 2, possibly for Man Ray. Can he do it? Can he hang on? Well, time will tell. I do understand that the current delay to getting this qualifying session started has something to do with the EA Sports servers. They have been giving a lot of our drivers some issues as far as joining this lobby is concerned. So on the back end, our technicians are working very hard to make sure that everybody who is available today can join this lobby. So some issues with the EA servers in the back end. But we will be making sure that as soon as that is sorted, then we get this race underway. Of course, we know who the champion is, but what about the promotion and relegation? Well, the bottom three spots I've mentioned, Romeo, 86er, and Man Ray, automatic relegation spots currently. Romeo and the 86er have 38 points and 24 points respectively, so if they can somehow put a decent string of performances in these final few races, they might just fight their way out. Eligible for the playoffs are Selby Songo, Kaboza, and Spizozo. Those three drivers, as it stands, are currently in the playoff spots, and at risk of falling into the playoff spots are Zotal and Tindo. And it's my understanding that Zotal might not be here today to mitigate any risk of falling into those playoff spots. So by the time we get to the next race in Spain, Zotal might just have slipped into the playoff spots, depending on how the likes of Tindo, Selby, Kaboza, Spizozo, Romeo, and the 86er perform. So a lot of permutations here, and we're just waiting, of course, for these drivers to be all well and truly sorted out before we get this qualifying session underway. It's top tier Breakaway League racing. We should get the first of 3 qualifying sessions underway hopefully soon, once those network gremlins on the EA server side of things are sorted out and our drivers are able to join. So yeah, do stay with us, and hopefully soon we'll get it going. Well, if you're a familiar watcher of this league, I'd love to hear who of those drivers you reckon will definitely be slipping and sliding down to Tier 2. Do you think Romeo and the 86er can somehow fight their way out of this rut and claw their way out of the bottom 3? Do you think it's automatic playoff spots for Spizozo, Kaboza, Selby, and Tindo? Well, let us know. Let us know. Now, the gap between Tindo, who is currently safe from the playoffs, and Selby is about 7 points, or 8 points rather, because Tindo's on 68 points, and or rather 12 points, I beg your pardon. Tindo's on 68 points, and Selby's on 55 points. I believe that would possibly even make it 13. My math is not mathing right now, but yeah, Tindo and Selby are fighting it out to make sure that one of those two is not in those playoff spots. The playoffs can be stressful. Last time out, all Tier 1 drivers managed to pretty much retain their spots in Tier 1, but we know how tough and demanding some of these Tier 2 drivers could prove to be. I mean, if the likes of Smirch Django makes it into the playoffs, I mean, he gives even most of the Tier 1 grid a lot of headaches as far as his performances are concerned. So it could just be a hectic situation if they fail to make it out of the playoffs. Now, at this point, we're hoping for the rest of the available drivers to make sure that they're well and truly in the lobby. I see Kaboza's here. He looks like he's going to be the sole Red Bull driver out here today. And even Van Kobe has joined the session. I think I saw his name there, yes. Mellow the Malusi doesn't seem to be available. It might just be an issue, of course, attributed to the network issue that we've touched on. But hopefully we can see Malusi in here as soon as possible. As it stands, 13 drivers are here and ready to fight it out. Even Mfundo's here, and just as I speak of Malusi the Malusi, he joins the lobby. There he is on the bottom right of your screen, and it looks like he might just have been the final piece of the puzzle to get this qualifying session underway. The green check marks are lit, and hopefully the race will follow suit. 35 laps of racing after 3 qualifying sessions. We now have the countdown in effect, about 10 seconds before we're underway in Hungary. Now, these guys and the teams have done a lot of work in the simulators, and we'll get a sense. Of how exactly they fare, and also a sense of what the weather looks like, which will definitely might just add a touch of drama here. If the weather holds up and shakes things up. Well, we see key music in the comment section. If you've just joined us, welcome. This qualifying session is about to get underway. And if all these guys can pretty much keep their cars intact, we have, a situation where pretty much all the drivers will go through without a hitch to Q2. But if the weather is a little bit dramatic, then we might just see some drivers struggle and, put it into the wall. Now, this track is not the easiest. It's quite demanding in terms of its twists and turns, and those gray curves, if you will, on the left and the right of the track that you'll see, especially in Sector 2. Those can be quite tricky, and they've been known to throw the drivers off as far as grip is concerned. This is Hungary. We are at the Hungaroring. Welcome! 18 minutes of qualifying in Q1 before we move on to Q2, and thereafter the top 10 shootout. 15 drivers on the grid, and we'll get a sense of how they fare. It looks like it's clear weather now, thankfully for them. Yep, so not too much in the way of drama there. Thank you for choosing Breakaway League Racing. We are underway. It looks like a Red Bull is one of the first cars to come out. There's only one Red Bull currently. It is this man, Kaboza. He is the one of 2 drivers, along with the champion Seakley, to have made their way out onto the track. Now remember, it's been a fairly challenging season for Kaboza. Finds himself 16th in the driver's standings. 48 points. Kid K, relentless with the roast already. Kaboza's in a hurry to DNF, says Kid K in the comment section. Well, we'll see about that. Kaboza will most likely take that comment personally. And we'll see how he fares. As you can see, the drivers on the right-hand side of the screen, about 5 of them, 6 of them are already on their outlaps. This is the Hungaroring now. Formula One has been raced here in Hungary since 1986. When the then Soviet satellite state became a surprising addition to the Formula One calendar. It's a purpose-built circuit and was constructed outside the capital Budapest. Tight, slow, and narrow. Overtaking has always proved a challenge here in Hungary, despite 2 major revisions to this track. Now, the first, back in 1989, restored the track after Turn 3 to its intended configuration, as the discovery of a water spring during its construction forced the addition of 2 extra corners. So, it's a track that has undergone a lot of cosmetic surgery, if you will, but right now it is Kaboza and the Red Bull hoping to take this track with surgical precision. He opens up that rear wing, or of course he did on that start-finish straight, and he takes it easy through this left-hander. He's quite wary of those gray curves, if you will, because on this track they can be absolutely unforgiving. It's Kaboza through Sector 1. He was the quickest man there. Sets a purple sector. Remember, Seakley is running further out ahead of him, but Kaboza has gone quickest through Sector 1. But coming out of Sector 1, he had that moment of going slightly off track, but it was not bad enough for him to invalidate or have that lap time deleted. He winds his way through that chicane fairly unscathed. It's a man who's looking fairly comfortable despite his P16 position in the driver's standings. Has a touch of the grass on the right-hand side, does Kaboza. How many tenths will that cost him? He begins Sector 3 by taking this right-hander slightly carefully here. And as he comes into one of the longest left-hand turns, we see that the gauntlet laid down by Sikle, who's the first man to set a time, is a 1:15.8. We've seen Kaboza lose some time thanks to going off track, and indeed it will not be quick enough to match Sikle. He's off by almost 2 full seconds. It's a 1:17.3 for Kaboza. There's a Mercedes, and that is Ben Kobe, who could not go quicker than the Red Bull. He sets a time putting himself in P4. It's a 1:17.6. And as Buddha, I would have you know, has just crossed the line with that time in the 1:16. Meanwhile, there is it the 86er? No, it's Teppo Temba, who's just crossed the line for a 1:16.493. So he is well and truly in the mix, as he usually is. Tindo's about to cross the line, and he does. There's another Aston Martin. It is M. Fundo, who also crosses the line on the pair of medium compound tires, and he set the time of the 1:18.632. Of course, I'm not sure why he's beginning Q1 on a set of medium compound tires, but hey, Aston Martin know perhaps what they're doing. It's M. Fundo who has some work to do here. Perhaps he's just hiding his true pace. Perhaps this is the case of sandbagging on the part of the Aston Martin driver, because I do understand that M. Fundo and Sikle are just some of the drivers who are among the fastest running on this track. So perhaps it's a case of sandbagging on the Aston Martin driver, but hey, it's interesting to see whether or not that's going to be the case. Ben Kobe, meanwhile, has improved his time to a 1:16.336. As looks like Esbuda has come into the pits, and his teammates, and Fundo, we were watching just a second ago. Let's hop on board now with the Haas of Titus Malama, the former champion, who's been on a fantastic run in recent weeks. He goes slightly wide out of that final corner. Wonder how many tenths that cost him, and he sets a time in P4, 1:16.714 for Titus in the Haas over there. Interesting times. 4 drivers have yet to set a time. Someone who is on the verge of doing so is this man, Josh, aka Damnesia. I almost said Damnesia here. And Neville is saying, I'm struggling by myself here. Well, Neville, is that a case of joining the lobby, perhaps? Where is Neville? Yeah, Neville, we don't see you in the lobby here. Hopefully you can rejoin before the race starts. But right now we're watching Josh, aka Damnesia, who absolutely has invalidated. It's such a tight track. The corners come at you so fast, and well, there's very little that you can do to adjust from the one lap to the other. Kaboza has come back into the pits. So meanwhile, let's see how the Mercedes of Mello the Mellow will fare. He's on the final part of his outlap, and he will cross the line to begin his lap in earnest. Let's hop on board with the Mercedes driver, P2 in the driver's standings, and well, he could have really challenged Sikle there towards the end of this season for the championship, but load shedding came in the way, and of course, Mello the Mellow was one of the many unfortunate drivers affected by availability thanks to electricity shortages. But he is not short of pace on track here. Let's see how he will fare towards the end of Sector 1. There's a time of 27 seconds, and well, he has some time to make up if he will threaten that insane benchmark laid by Sikle. He's making his way now through the second sector, those winding turns which come at you so fast in this oh-so tight track. He takes a little bit of the curve over there, and a lot of it through that right-hander now. He goes through this short straight, and he's purple through the second sector. He's quickest through Sector 2 as Malusi the Malusi. He's going to have to now slow down. This is one of the slowest corners here on this track before the final right-hander, where he will stare down that start, finish straight. It's Sector 3 for Malusi the Malusi, who will open up that rear wing and cross the line in P4, a time of 1:16.8. 1.670. And I would have you know that P4 becomes P5, courtesy of this man, D-Wax, who has just crossed the line with a brilliant 116.552. D-Wax, another driver, quietly having a decent season here, consolidating his position in the top tier of Breakaway League racing. D-Wax in the AlphaTauri has racked up 88 championship points for AlphaTauri. A fantastic effort from D-Wax over there. Meanwhile, looks like there's a... Is it Lovemus? Yes, it looks like Lovemus making his way through Sector 3. Or rather, no, through the first sector. No, it's not Lovemus, I beg your pardon. It is the 86er. He was about to complete a lap, but he will have to start again. Now, the 86er is at risk. We've mentioned he sits in P19, 24 points. He has no choice but to put in 3 fantastic performances in the final part of this season if he is to survive, or at the very least, guarantee a playoff spot. Because, 24 points is some way away from the 38 points held by Zozo and Romeo in P17 and 18, respectively. Well, Vix is in the comments section. He says, if you're 117, it's sub top 10. Ha! Tier 1. Yes, absolutely. Jermaine Kelvin says, go Romeo, aka Mandla. Well, Romeo is currently sitting comfortably in P7 as we watch the 86er take that curve quite heavily, and he had to recover there through Sector 2. He has some time now to make up how many tenths will that cost the 86er. He was quite rough on the curb there on this winding, tight circuit now. He will soon begin the third sector. He's gone about a tenth slower than his previous best time as the 86er. So by now he knows that in Sector 3 he has a lot of work to do. He finds himself P11. He's one of only 2 drivers currently out on track. It's just the 86er and Mfundo, who I would have you know sits bottom of these Q1 standings. The 86er finds himself still P11. It's a 117.1 for the Williams driver. Definitely some work to do in Q2 and 3. Let's hop on board with Mfundo now. Remember, his initial time was set on a medium compound tires, and look at that, he's gone quicker through Sector 2, improving on his personal best time by more than a second. It's Mfundo in the Aston Martin, about to take the slow left-hander here, which will then take him into the next hairpin, the final one, the final long winding right-hander, steering down the start-finish straight and sends the Aston Martin screaming down the start-finish straight. He crosses the line, 116.824. Puts him in P9. Well, Mfundo, what more can you give us? I would have you know that in the simulator, he is significantly quicker than a time in the 116s as Mfundo. Well, if you can turn it up, then we are in potentially for quite a show towards the end of this qualifying session. He's going again, is Mfundo, and he's just set a purple for his sector. He's gone quickest through Sector 1 has Mfundo. Now, because he's quite further back than the 86er, I'm just going to hop back and see. Nope, he's on an in-lap. Let's stay on board with Mfundo now, beginning the second sector, where the corners just keep coming at you, and just feel how tight this track is. Mfundo comes now to the heavy braking zone into this right-hander in the beginning of Sector 3, and it's going to be not too bad through this left-hander. He makes a little bit of a correction not to dive into the pit lane. And once more stares down the start-finish straight. He was not happy with his first attempt, and he crossed the line, unfortunately for him, about 2 tenths slower. But by the look of things, Mfundo has quite a lot of fuel on board, because it doesn't look like he's relenting at all. Mfundo looks to be giving it another go, and as you can see in the bottom of your screen, that telemetry, that red fuel light is not flashing. So Mfundo fueled up for quite a couple of runs here, and interestingly, he was still getting purple sectors despite the high amount of fuel. And as the fuel level sinks, well, so do his times. He quite enjoys the first sector, does Mfundo, because he's gone about 2 tenths quicker. Setting another purple first sector is Mfundo, but he loses a lot of time through sectors 2 and 3. Perhaps the tightness of this section, he goes quite wide there, skims the grass on the right-hand side. And, well, how much time do they have to recover now? Again touches the grass and almost invalidates. Through Sector 2, he's about a tenth slower. So this is looking like the section where Mfundo is definitely not comfortable here on race day. We'll see exactly how he fares. He abandons that hot lap. Kaboza has just got word of that little roast that Kid K gave him. Responding in the comment section, we're on board now with Josh, aka Damnesia, brimming with confidence after a fairly recent race win, and I would have you know he's gone quickest through Sector 1, has Damnesia. And he is a driver who's had a fairly solid season, went quite heavy out of the curbs there in Sector 2. Josh finds himself on 82 championship points, P11. So as things stand, he's well and truly safe. He does not have playoffs to think about. It's pretty much a matter of performance. And I would have you know that Josh has gone 9/10 quicker than his previous best time. Now, remember, Josh finds himself at the bottom of this field, P14 currently for Josh. And let's see how he fares now. He will send that car down the start, finish straight, open up that DRS, and he'll only go P12. It's a 1:17.1, a decent time by conventional driver standards, but in Tier 1, it's not even good enough for the top 11. It's a P12 spot for Damnesia. Damn, Damnesia. We know what he's capable of when he turns it up. What can he do now? Kaboza looks like who's that? They're asking about Zotal, but he has low check, unfortunately. Kaboza, maybe mocking you will get you to focus today, says Kid K. Good luck, man. Zotal watching from the paddocks. Miss Bono is here in the comments, and Lebo says finally with crying face emojis. We do hope that Lebo will be able to join us. There's 2.5 minutes of Q1 to go. Most of the grid is fairly comfortable back in the pit lane. No one feels the need to come out. Charlie 3-Stack said something interesting earlier. Sector 2 S-Bends are doing him in. He's curb riding a lot. Speaking about some of the laps, the onboards that we were seeing earlier, Tindo has reestablished a connection, and even Enlebo is here. Yes, Enlebo is here, and he has 2 minutes to get that car hooked up and get it out on track. With about 2 minutes to go, if he gets out now, if that car pretty much exits now, Enlebo might just have time to have something to say as far as these lap times are concerned. Puma and Lebo, says Zotal out in the comment section. And, Ndebo is out. He has Puma, has Ndebo. And what can he do now on behalf of Haas? Titus, his teammate, is out all the way out in P6 currently. And with 1 minute and 21 seconds to go, on the bottom of the screen, we keep seeing drivers dip in and out of the session. Hopefully, we will see them keep it together. Meanwhile, Mfundo, who's been having a good time on the simulator, has not been having so much fun out here today. He's a big man in the simulator, blood, but it's a bit difficult out here, you know. It's difficult, blood. Big man thing, yeah? And Mfundo needs to put it together, blood. He needs to put it together, blood. Well, we'll see exactly how Mfundo will fare. I'm going to put it in a simulator. I'm time trial I found the time trial race isn't just different. Stress la paya abo so tile na bo tetes ba rasa la po group chat. So maybe Mfundo we stress on yana ba rasa la paya. Well, perhaps yes, perhaps it is a stress of being in the party chat for Tier 1 with all that talent and people screaming in his ear. Perhaps Mfundo is of course not quite having such a good time here. Well, let's see how this lap attempt will fare. He's making his way now for the final part of Sector 3, and he will send that car screaming down that start-finish straight to cross the line, and he's gone a tenth slower, has Mfundo. So perhaps that was a warm-up lap? Well, we will see. We'll catch up with him a little bit later, because this is the one and only chance that Enlebo will have to set a time here in Q1. Let's see what he can do now. He's making his way through Sector 2. The drivers love Sector 1. He's gone purple. He went purple through Sector 1 to level. So he's absolutely turning it on. Goes quite heavy through that curb, through that chicane to level, taking so many liberties. He takes this right-hander. He was easing up on the throttle comparatively to some of the drivers. Of course, those S sections are treacherous, as Charlie 3 Stacks, Charlie 3000 has mentioned in the comments. It's Enlevo taking his way through Sector T now, to Sector 3, and he has yet to set a time, remember. He just wants to have that time on the board. Has a bit of a snap coming out of that hairpin, and he'll take the final turn onto that start-finish straight. He will open up that rear wing and cross the line at the bottom of the standings. It's a 1:17.270 for Enlevo, and it's not even good enough to lift him off the bottom of your standings. So, at the end of Q1, it is Cicle, quickest from Bankobi and Sepotemba. D-Wax, with a decent effort, finds himself in P4 from Mellow to Mellow in 5th. Titus is 6th. Romeo Mandla Massigo is in P7 from Loveness in the Williams in 8th place. And Fundo had a couple of slower runs, improved, but only to P9 from Caboza in 10th place. Esbuda is 11th, Josh, a.k.a. Damnesia, 12th, the 86er 13th, Tindo in 14th, and Enlevo, who has just joined the paddock, is in P15.
Yeah, I'm not late, man. Angas, yeah, but if the traffic, Mara, Ngapata, Hungaroring, Mara, yeah, Angas, late, Mara, maybe also improve on over. Won't go to your level, and get a good Q2, so maybe it's. Yes,
we will bone a Kona indeed, and we'll see how Endeavor fares here. Fun fact, Mfundo is on manual gears today, says Caboza. Well, maybe that's why he's not quite as comfortable as he has been in the time trials. Maybe he was doing the simulator time on automatic transmission, and well, now, of course, is crunch time. So we'll see how Mfundo will fare here today. Dini, did you post the time and come and chill in the chats from your first lap? Dini asking Caboza some pertinent questions out here. Even Cicle is comfortable in the comment section. Q2 time, let's go, says Cicle. Of course, Cicle has wrapped up the championship, and, well, perhaps now he's just having fun. And we'll see exactly how Cicle fares here. Now, of course, the stakes are raised that little bit. This is the part where you can get knocked out. It looks like we've lost the 86er, possibly to load shedding, sadly. So the 86er actually could have, his presence could have made things interesting here. Yeah, that means the 86er who lost connection is the one driver that does not make it through to Q2. And so that means Enlevo will be thanking his lucky stars because thanks to the 86er getting eliminated out of this session, Enlevo now finds himself in Q2 with a fighting chance to have something to say as far as that possible battle for the pole position is concerned. Well, what's happening in the comment section? Wait, Maspano, tomorrow is the last Tier 3 showdown in España, says Charlie 3 Stacks. Yep, get ready, everybody. Yo necesito mi maleta, por favor. Bienvenido a todos a Español. Charlie 3 Stacks, yo necesito tu maleta, Oh, yes, apparently that's some shaky Spanish there. We'll see how the Charlie 3 Stacks fares out in España tomorrow. You know, I learned when I was back in Wisconsin, we used to take some Spanish lessons, so I've kind of forgotten the basics there. I don't want to bore you with that too much. We're going to catch up with Damnesia and perhaps Cicle. It looks like Cicle wants to start this race on a medium compound of tire, as does Romeo, Caboza, Mello the Mello, and Levo, Mfundo, and Sepotemba. Well, we'll see exactly how that fares once we get to the tail end of this qualifying session. Well, ¿habla español? No, a mí no habla español. Me habla el Dutch. No, Charlie 3 Stacks, I speak a Duolingo level of Spanish. I am fluent in Dutch, though, thanks to my time in the CIA. Yes, well, but it has been declassified, of course, but something that is not classified and that is open to the public is this battle to see who can set the quickest time in Q2. It's Damnesia right behind Seakley, and it looks like he was getting a bit of a tow. Don't know if Seakley has slowed down there to kind of throw Josh off, well, Josh might actually suffer from the dirty air that Ferrari is throwing out. And as I say that, Josh acquaints himself with the dirt on this Hungarian track. He goes off, and that gap between him and Seakley, both of whom are on hot laps, you would remember, just kind of increases a little bit. So Seakley running a medium compound of tires, he's managing to keep Josh at bay, who is running the grippier soft tires. And he makes his way, winds through the second sector to Josh. He will rue that time spent in that little gravel patch with 12 minutes of this Q2 session to go. It's Josh, aka Damnesia, looking to set a decent time, and perhaps he will begin this race on soft compound tires. That is his intention. It's Q2, of course. Seakley will cross the line to set a time, 1:17.2, medium compound, and Josh, aka Damnesia, can only go P 1:17.4. There's a Haas on the verge of crossing the line. Which one is it out of Enlevel and Titus? It is Enlevel. So we're going to stay on board with him. I know some of those times will start trickling in. Romeo, aka Madla, they set a time of the 1:18.266, and Tindo is the quickest man so far in Q2, 1:17.1. Now remember, we did see most of these guys pull in time to the 1:16, so expect these times to keep on falling and falling, like Alicia Keys said all the way back in 2001. But right now, it is Enlevo on a set of medium compound tires, making his way through the chicane that has claimed its fair share of victims. He comes through unscathed, and on a medium compound tires, Mello the Mello is the quickest man on track so far, and Nebo loses, and he spins, and he loses that front wing end plate and sends it into the curves. Into the curves for Enlevo. He will have to come back in and remedy that as soon as he possibly can. Caboza is on an outlap, so we'll catch up with him. I just want to get a sense of which of these McLarens is possibly trying to improve, and the answer to that might be Romeo, because he's gone about 0.3 quicker has Romeo Mastenko. He's making his way now through the final part. He's going to take this right-hander, and he hugs that those track limits. He opens up that rear wing, and he does improve by 0.3. It's a time good enough for P9. He is at risk, is Romeo Mandla. He's at risk of elimination out here, and Tindo, who was quickest, has unfortunately invalidated. There's an Aston Martin on the verge of crossing the line. It is Buddha. He's improved slightly, but right now finds himself P9. And of course, he is running a pair of soft compound tires. Man, there is quite some work to do for Buddha here. Looks like he's not going to go for another hot lap run. He slows down, comes pretty much to a dead stop. Oh, he's making way possibly for his teammate. That being Mfundo. Let's hop on board now and see. Mfundo, not a bad time on medium compound tires. He's placed himself in P5 provisionally. If he can hang on to this and possibly even improve, then it'll be a good day's work for the Aston Martin driver. He's one of course, quite a lot of drivers on medium compound tires. Only 5 drivers have selected soft compound tires, including Josh, aka Damnesia, who has just crossed the line in P1 in Q2 out here. It's a 1:16.2 as Mfundo makes his way back into the pits. Now, his teammate, Buddha, looks to be... No, Buddha is definitely making his way back in. Tindo's on the verge of crossing the line, and he improves and goes P2. It's a 1:16.719 for the Alfa Romeo driver. A very, very solid effort indeed. Now, there's an Alpha Tauri, which is in the pits, was on the verge of crossing. Is that Loveness? Yes. Oh, Van Kobe crashes out. He had yet to set a time. Van Kobe on cold tires has crashed out. He did not set a time. He was biding his time in the pit lane, hoping to come out late. But that was not good enough for Van Kobe to set a decent time. Meanwhile, Titus has gone 0.3 quicker than his previous best time on medium compound tires. He places that car in P4. Van Kobe will start quite a long way back. Caboza, meanwhile, is about to cross the line. He goes significantly quicker than his previous best time, by 8/10, I would have you know, but it's only good enough for a P10. Kaboza at risk. Kaboza could just be knocked out of Q2 here if he does not improve. There is a McLaren on the verge of returning. It is Josh, aka Damnesia, and he's definitely coming back into the pit lane now. Let's see where exactly Titus is. No, Titus's teammate, and Nebo, is currently on an outlap, so we'll get a sense of how he runs. Loveness is about a second significantly slower. So this is definitely an in-lap on the part of the Williams driver. Loveness, we know what he can do. Can he keep it together with minimal penalties in the race? Well, time will tell. Time will tell indeed. We'll see exactly how Loveness fares. Kaboza is also making his way back in. There's a Haas that I wanted to follow, and it is this man, Enlebo. He joined the paddock late, and he was delayed by quite some time. He had issues joining Volati, but right now he is well and truly in it. Sector 1 sends it screaming into this left-hander, skims the curb a little bit there, and he's quite careful as far as that gray curb on the right is concerned. Remember, that is the one that claims its fair share of victims. Through the chicane comes Nebo. He takes liberties, too many liberties. He was too greedy on that curb there and has invalidated his hot lap attempt. He will have to give it another go. And Nebo, under pressure, has yet to set a time. And Nebo has to put it together somehow. Now, D-Wax is currently on an outlap, as is Cicle, and it looks like Romeo is also on that tip. So we'll catch up with Romeo and see how he runs by the time D-Wax finishes his outlap. He's had a solid season as D-Wax, no risk of relegation whatsoever. A little bit of an over-rev there into the first corner, but he did not miss the apex too badly there into the left-hander. Another over, he really downshifts really quickly, and while those RPMs are still quite high for D-Wax, but how will he take this winding section? This also treacherous section has a snap over there and has to adjust, and a little bit of a correction from D-Wax now, making his way through Sector 2. He is now on that treacherous chicane, which is claiming its fair share of victims, but not me, says D-Wax, comfortably in P5 currently on that medium compound tire currently. What can he do now through the end of Sector 2? He's going to take this right-hander. It's a short back straight here into the hairpin. Comes D-Wax. He begins this, of course, slow corner into this hairpin. I beg your pardon. A left-hander. Let's see how exactly he can get this final section of the track done. How much time will he gain? How much time will he lose? He opens up that DRS. It's D-Wax on the final straight, but unfortunately cannot improve. Meanwhile, Romeo is in P12. He's abandoned that medium tire strategy and has decided, you know what? I'll just put on these grippier soft compound tires, and I'll take the hit in the beginning of the race. While most of you will go long in the beginning stint, I will go have a shorter initial stint in the race. That's if Romeo can make it into Q3. Remember, he currently sits third from the bottom. Currently in an automatic relegation spot is Romeo, alongside level on points with Spizozo, I would have you know. So this is a golden opportunity for Romeo to stake his claim in the top 10 shootout. He comes through unscathed there, and he has improved his time by a factor of a second, has Romeo. So he's currently, after the end of Sector 2, sitting in the high 116s. But how much time will he recover now on this final portion? It is Sector 3. He opens up the rear wing, he crosses the line, and he goes P2! It's McLaren 1-2 in Q2, and Romeo has put in a scorcher of a lap to put his car almost 3/10 behind his teammates. Romeo with an absolutely sensational lap on a pair of soft compound tires. 116.5 for Romeo, aka Mandla, laying it down once again in qualifying. But Esbuda splits the McLarens by going quickest through the third sector, and the Aston Martin driver currently sits P2 behind Josh, aka Damnesia. A sensational effort there for these drivers. Now, Spuda's teammate is this man, M. Fundo. Let's see how he fares now. And I'm quite tempted, actually, to catch up with Seekley because he's further along on his qualifying lap. We'll get back to M. Fundo. Nope. Looks like, no, Seekley is definitely going significantly slower here. So let's hop back with the Aston Martin driver, currently making his way through Sector 2. Now, in Q1, we saw how much time Mfundo lost through the second and third sectors. He quite enjoys Sector 1, but has been having trouble, especially since switching to manual gears, to manual transmission. He's not exactly having the time of my life. But I would have you know that he's got about a second quicker than his previous best time. So, Mfundo possibly securing his spot in Q3 here. All these drivers have 2 minutes to consolidate their spot. Mfundo abandons his hot lap and is coming back into the pits. There's a McLaren on the verge of... there's a McLaren coming into the pits, I would have you know. Meanwhile, Seppo Temba is currently making his way through Sector 1, about to begin the second sector, and as I say that, Seppo Temba is officially the quickest man through Sector 1. What can he do now through Sector 2? I would like you to watch how exceptionally controlled he is on the throttle when he comes out of corners here. Watch how he exits, whether it's a slow or a fast corner. His corner exits are absolutely sensational at Seppo Temba. That is why he is always having something to say at the tail end of qualifiers. That is why he's having a fantastic season, and that is why he's going about 0.6 quicker than his previous best time. Currently, remember, he is P10 with that 117.297, but right now we're on the verge of seeing something potentially special from Seppo Temba. If he can secure his spot with aplomb in Q3, he sends it down the start-finish straight, and it is P2, a 116.429, a trademark, brilliant lap on the part of the Alpine driver. Tindo is out to come back into the pits, and right now I want to catch up. DUX is on an out lap, it seems, as is a Loveness. So we want to catch up with someone who's currently on a hot lap attempt. Now, Ban Kobe having crashed out means that, most of these guys, the 86er and Nebo Kaboza, they at least will not have him to worry about as Melo the Mellow takes some liberties on his out lap here. 30 seconds for these drivers to cross that start-finish line and begin their final hot lap attempts in a bid to secure that spot in the top 10. Now, Titus, your former champion, is out here. Let's see how he will fare. He's had a fantastic second half of the season, has Titus. He was, quite severely affected by load shedding, of course, missed so many races. And right now, it is pretty much, now or never for the drivers out on track. Those who have yet to take the checkered flag, remember. Malusi the Malusi tried, but Melo the Mellow could not improve on his time. He is P7 currently, and so many drivers have a chance to knock Malusi the Malusi all the way out of Q2, including this man, Titus. But of course, Titus is currently at risk himself. P8 is possibly not nearly comfortable enough for the Haas driver, who is now about to come into this left hairpin on the final portion of this track. He is under pressure. He's been knocked to P10 thanks to the likes of Loveness and D-Wax, who have already crossed the line. What can Titus do here? He goes P1. It's a 116.1. The quickest man on track is your former champion in the Haas. P1 and his teammate, unfortunately, cannot improve. And Lebo cannot improve, and Lebo has been knocked out alongside Mfundo and Kaposa. But Seekley is the last running driver on track, and I would have you know that he is significantly quicker. He knows that he is safe, and he figures, I will come back into the pits. Your drivers for the top 10 shootout are Titus from Josh, aka Damnesia, in P2. Seppo Temba, another brilliant one, P3. D-Wax, P4 in Q2. S. Buddha placed his car 5th fastest in this session. Romeo, aka Mandla, was 6th fastest. Loveness is 7th. Tindo, 8th. Seekley is the 9th man. And Melo the Mellow is breathing a huge sigh of relief, because despite having taken the checkered flag after he ran out of time, he makes it into Q3 by the skin of his teeth. And would you look at that? Every single driver in Q3 has a time in the 1 minute 16s or higher. Oh no, 1 minute 16s with Titus being in the low 116s. So a sensational end to Q2 out here in Hungary at the Hungaroring. Ha! And now it's the top 10 shootout. Masbano was responding to Mandla, as was Celinda Kufley in the comments. Celindo, Mandla fire emojis. Yeah, Mandla did put in a scorching time earlier. It was, of course, bettered by the likes of Vesbuda, D-Rex, Tepatemba, Josh, aka Damnesia, and Titus. And, well, what can Mandla do in Q3? Mandla will begin on medium compound tires. And look at that. Mello the Mello and Seekley made it into Q3. And they will begin this race on medium compound tires. So, Seekley and Malusi the Malusi have a chance to go long initially here. And the rest of your drivers in the top 10 shootout will have to begin on soft compound tires. That is, of course, assuming and hoping that we do not have a rain-affected start out here. Seekley's taking it easy, says Charlie 3 Stacks. Seekley having come back into the pits at the end of that session there. And Seekley and Mello braved it out on their medium runs. Yep, they did. Unfortunately, Kaboza could not make it through to Q3. He's been knocked out of Q2. We have 12 minutes of running in this top 10 shootout. It's the battle for pole position. If you've just joined us, welcome to the Hungaroring. It's Romeo, D-Wax, Mello the Mello, Tindo, Damnesia, Buddha, Titus, Loveness, a.k.a. Tato, Tsepo Temba, and Seekley out here as the Mercedes of Malusi the Malusi is about to make its way up. You will be one of the first drivers out on track. What can you do, Mello the Mello? Now, Mello is no stranger to going quite longer, to going about 2 laps before he well and truly begins his hot lap in earnest. Will he do the same now? Well, the McLaren of... one of the McLarens has also made its way out. Seekley, as is customary, also comes out on track, taking it easy, very comfortable. Another sensational season, another championship. He's on top of the world. Comes down the valley, up the hill. Let's see what he can do. Let us see what he can do. Out here for the rest of this session. Sapiso, our superstar Tier 2 driver, says, I haven't raced so much in the last month. I didn't realize that this week is supposed to be the season finale. Indeed. Races 23 and 24 for Tier 1 this season. If you've just joined us, welcome. We are about to see what these guys can do. Now, we haven't spent too much time on board with the Ferrari of Seekley, so we'll catch up with him and see how he fares, at least for this initial run. And then we'll hop back to the likes of Malusi the Malusi and Mandla, D-Wax out here, Tsepo Temba already making his way onto the outlap. Let's hop on board with the Ferrari driver and give you all of the details that you need. He hits that apex cleanly into turn 1 and sends that car hurtling, screaming into the winding section of this track. Of course, from the end of Sector 1 through the majority of Sector 2. So challenging in terms of the timing of when you hit the corners. But Seekley, being Seekley, he hits that left-hander. He takes that curb with so much venom. He is not shy of exploring the limits of the track and not invalidating. Oh, goes quite hard into that the right-hander of the chicane. How much time will that cost him? Look how much closer the Mercedes of Mello the Mello is, thanks to that slight issue taking that curb in the first part of that chicane. Oh, has a bit of a snap coming out of there. Will he abandon that? Oh, will he abandon his hot lap? Yeah, he's definitely abandoning. He's abandoning, meaning that Mello the Mello is going to pass him on track, and Mello will be one of the first drivers to set a representative time. What time will that be? Tsepo Temba has crashed out during his hot lap attempt. Mello sets a 1:15.471. That is sensational from the Mercedes driver, and absolutely insane time, an insane attempt. Josh, aka Damnesia, will respond to that with a 1:16.035. It's his quickest, but not quick enough, as D-Wax goes P3 with that 1:16.5 himself. As Buddha is out here on track, he crosses the line. He goes P3 with a 1:16.268. September will start at the back of his top 10 as Malusi the Malusi lays down an insane gauntlet. He is down in effectively the fairly low 1:15s, a sensational time, by far the quickest time today. Man, this is Mello's track, says Charlie 3 Stacks, Charlie 3000. Man, that was absolutely insane. And Levo says this will be a proper shootout in the top 10. And as Buddha in the Aston Martin will definitely agree. He knows he's got some work to do. Currently sits P3, but with so many drivers yet to set their representative time, he's got his work cut out. He went quite hard through that chicane to that Buddha, but not hard enough to have a snap of over or understeer. He's now making his way through the end of this second sector, and so many drivers are out in their hot laps, including Levness, who's running fairly closely behind him in the Williams. He's about 2/10 slower as Buddha, so he's definitely got his work cut out for him here. But we'll stay on board for the rest of this lap before jumping very, very swiftly to Loveness. Mandla, Romeo has crashed out. He's the second driver who has crashed out of the section. It looks like Buddha's coming into the pit lane. Yes, he's coming to the pit lane. What can Loveness do in the final part of this section? He goes quite wide through the final corner, but he crosses the line with a 1:16.5. It's good enough for P5. Romeo is the second driver to crash out of this session, and he will start from the back of this grid. Now, Titus, what can you do? What can you do in the half? We'll see exactly what this former champion is capable of in the section. D-Wax is coming back into the pits. Titus is the quickest man through Sector 2, a sector which, as we've seen, has challenged pretty much most of the grid, including that mistake that we saw by Cycle, which saw him abandoning his lap. But Titus did not abandon. He did not struggle enough to find himself having to abandon his lap. It'll be a first representative time. He's on the start-finish straight as Titus. He crosses the line. It's a 1:15.8, good enough for P3. And I would have you know that Cycle has improved on his time and has steady time in the 1:15. It's a 1:15.7 for Cycle. But he's coming back into the pits this time around. Well, Loveness, what can he do? It is Malusi from Cycle from Titus. P1, P2, P3. Currently. Will it stay that way? Let me know in the comments how you expect the top 3 to shape up by the end of this session. Or is that time by Malusi the Malusi good enough? Can anyone come close? Does Malusi pretty much have this in the bag so far? Let me know in the comment section and how you will see that top 3 shaping up towards the end of this section here. But it looks like Titus is on another run here. No, he's not. I take that back. Coming through Sector 1, it looks like it looked for a second like he was definitely on another hot lap attempt. Now, Romeo and September, having crashed out, have kind of lifted the pressure somewhat on most of this grid here. Tindo is currently on his outlap, so we'll catch up with him, and D-Wax as well. Well, let's see what you're saying. Mello awakens from the dead, says Bouflé in the comments. Charlie 3 Stacks. Let's see what was happening earlier in the comments. Charlie 3 Stacks won Capozo's race seat for Spain. For the Spain race. Yeah, some interesting banter in the comment section. Let's see how Tindo fares in the final part of this outlap here. This will be a proper shootout, says Inlebo. Inlebo reckons it's going to be Mello, Titus, and Cycle in that order. So Inlebo expects Titus to improve to P2. Well, that will be interesting to watch. It's Tindo into the first corner. He hits that apex, nails that apex, and over revs coming out of the lower gears into this short straight into the left-hander. He's quite slow. Third gear through that turn, that treacherous turn, which we've, of course, known to take its fair share of victims. It's D-Wax aiming to improve on that 116.5. Ooh, goes a little bit quite wide into the curves there, but correct, pretty much, to bring his hot lap attempt back on track. It's the chicane which has claimed its fair share of victims as D-Wax makes way for Tindo now. He will come through the Sector 2. He's quite careful with the throttle, of course, those slow, tight, winding sections of Sector 2. He's going to send that car hurtling down this short straight, and Tindo was the quickest man through Sector 2, I would have you know. He's gone about a couple of hundredths quicker than his previous best time, and how much time can he gain now through Sector 3 to possibly challenge the top 3? It's Tindo in the Alfa Romeo taking the final right-hander onto the start-finish straight. He opens up that DRS, screams down the start-finish straight, and it's P6, a 116.431. D-Wax, meanwhile, is about to begin his own hot lap, so let's catch up with S. Buddha currently, making his way through Sector 3. It doesn't look like that quick a time that he's running. It might just be a warm-up lap of sorts, because it looks like he was like half a second slower, S. Buddha? Or was he? Well, he crosses the line. Yeah, he's about to... He's quickest through Sector 3, but he's 3/10 slower than his previous best time. So, as Buddha can turn it up in Sector 3. He's definitely one to watch. The Mercedes of Malusi the Malusi has just begun his hot lap, but right now, we will hop on board with the Aston Martin of S. Buddha. Sector 1 currently, and let's see how he navigates the tightness and the demanding twists and turns of the Hungaroring. He takes that curb with a lot of confidence, does this Buddha now. He avoids the great curves, as you do here through Hungary, and he comes through the chicane now. Ooh, quite hard on the curb, and you have to correct the steering a little bit, does this Buddha. How much time will that cost him now? We know how much he enjoys the first sector. What will his Sector 2 look like? And will that cost him a purple Sector 2 now? He's about 7/100ths of a second quicker than his previous best time. So, yeah, it's a potential improvement overall here, but it's definitely not good enough to put him in P4 even currently, if that slight improvement is something to go by. Meanwhile, Sika is about to begin his hot lap, as Buddha will cross the line. He's about quicker by about 2/100ths of a second, but he doesn't move the needle. He's still P6 currently. Still P6. Damnesia's quicker. D-Wax is quicker. Titus, Seatley, Malusi the Malusi are quicker here. A lot of work for him to do. Loveness is about to cross the line himself. He improves by 4/10, and it's a 116.079 for Loveness, and he goes P6 currently. Loveness is in P6, and let's see what he can do. Mello the Mello, Malusi the Malusi has to come back. I'm not sure if it's... oh, yeah, it's a damaged wing. He took some damage to his wing, did Mello the Mello there. So he will have to come in. He will not be able to improve in this time. Tindo is on the verge of finishing his hot lap attempt, and Malusi the Malusi pretty much was not able to finish that final hot lap attempt. Tindo is coming back, which means one of the only men left running is Seatley, who was hoping to reclaim that P1 spot, to snatch P1 from Mello the Mello. He's on the final straight, is Seatley. He will cross the line quicker than Mello the Mello. 115.184 for the champion in the Ferrari, doing what he does, laying it down once again, and Titus could not improve. D-Wax has invalidated. What about Loveness? No, Loveness is definitely on an in-lap, seemingly, as Buddha had to abandon because he's taking liberties with the track limits. He's a bit of a tourist, this Buddha, touring, waving to the crowd out there. But it's the story of the day is Seatley in the Ferrari is the quickest man on track, a 115.184, almost 3/10 quicker than Mello the Mello, who had that incident on his final lap, and he will start in the front row in P2. It'll give Titus in the second row from D-Wax. What a performance from the AlphaTauri driver in P4. Josh, aka Damnesia, will start in P5, Loveness in 6th, as Buddha in 7th, Tindo in 8th, and Romeo, aka Mandla and Seppo Temba, will begin in P9 and 10, respectively. That is your grid. If you've just joined us, you have missed, well, a pretty insane qualifier. 4 drivers have set times in the 1 minute 15s in this third and final qualifying session. Absolutely sensational. Yes, babe, at Seaplay, says Boufflé Les in the comment section. Well, it is going to be absolutely sensational. The champ is here, says Ronald Pipes. Mex, our Tier 3 driver, soon to be Tier 2, judging by his performances, says that time is insane. Tabang Emenguri says, Fry us, champ, we are your chips.
Amaraveles ngama-chips ayithaphanga batshele yabo unqabo that's why bekalate angithi kunendawo yama-chips la ngaphandle Hungaroring khona ama-chips bafaka angazi mani banale spice lesi le spice sase-steers angazi i-steers basithatha la eHungary mara khona ama-chips like wase-steers that's why inqebe bekalate kunama-chips la ngaphandle.
Well, apparently there are chips, according to Printox. We'll have to verify that. We're not sure if that is correct, of course. We're going to have to check that out. Seakley, comfortable enough to spend some time in the comment section here. Yeah, he's definitely a man absolutely relaxed. He's secured the driver's standings. And what can he do now when the race actually begins? What can he do? Well, Focalistic says it's not trap, it's music from the Cassie. Well, this is Formula One, and it's littered with speed traps instead. The weather looks like it's gray, and the clouds have come out, and I don't know if that means we'll have some rain out here. We'll just have to see exactly if that pans out. Yes, it's good to see all of you out here in the comment section. Vix is here, Seaclay's here, Tabang Emenguri, Ronald Pipes. Ronald McPipes. I believe he's cousins with Ronald McDonald. Even Luddy. Luddy's here in the comment section. It's good to see Luddy and Mazbano. And I'm not sure why Seakley is denying the presence of his girlfriend on the stream. It seems like he got some good supports here. Watching me on the stream, that's under gray skies out here in Hungary. It's 4 lights out, 5 lights, it's lights out. We have a decent grid, and let's get a sense of the race start. It's Malusi the Malusi who has the inside line on Seakley. It's a fantastic start from the Mercedes driver, and he will take turn 1 in the lead. Josh, aka Damnesia, has gazumped Titus and finds himself in P4 and P3 currently. It's a hell of a scrap. Even Josh wants to take that position from Seakley, and he has going into turn 2. It's Smell of the Mellow, and Josh aka Damnesia in P1 and P2. A fantastic start from the Mercedes and the McLaren driver. Titus will now have to contend with a start from P4. He has his work cut out for him, and we'll see exactly how that pans out. Let's hop aboard the McLaren driver, making his way now through Sector 2. Seakley, very relaxed in the comment section, now has something to think about, something to sweat about, something to do about losing that race lead and finding himself in P3.
Section race manqala ethi sizokumele athi angeke adlale nalabantu labo kumele arace manje kumele abuye.
Yes, kumele abuye. Seakley has to come back indeed, and I'm not sure if he can get this done. The weather is gray, the weather is gloomy, as is the mood in the Ferrari camp, because their driver has squandered the race lead, finding himself in P3. And knowing Josh, knowing Malusi the Malusi, they will not give it up. Now, look at the predicted pit stop strategy. Right now, from laps 15 to 21 is when we can start to see some pit action as Malusi the Malusi crosses the line on those medium compound tires. Let's look at the big movers now. Mfundo is having a nightmare out here. He's already in the pits before, of course, at the end of that lap, he dropped a couple of positions. And one of the biggest movers has been Josh, gaining 3 places, as has Teppo Temba. And, the way the wheel guys play with gear, says Tapiso, is insane. Josh, what a start from him, says Kid K in the comment section. Potentially, we have a DRS train on our hands here. Wouldn't that be sensational by the time we get to lap 3? Hopefully, we don't get any rain out here. But even if we do, that'll be something to look forward to. It's a bit of a battle now between Esbuda and Seppo Temba. The gap between these guys is less than half a second. D-Wax is also out here. Ooh, Esbuda has a moment. Seppo Temba flips and slides a little bit. And I'm not sure if that was a little bit of some drops of rain. Inati reckons the medium runners are probably going to try Tabo's strategy from yesterday and go a little bit long. Esbuda finds himself in P8. He dropped a place, did Esbuda. So we'll get a sense. Ooh, He was quite slow into the braking there and almost went into the back of the Alpine. Now, what will Esbuda do on the start-finish straight? Will he be able to take advantage? Mello leading this race, sets another fast lap. Can that be better now? It is Esbuda on the back of the Alpine and going into turn one. Will he dive in? No, he will not. He will live to think about potentially taking advantage of it later. He goes wide on the exit of turn one, does Esbuda, bringing Tindo into the reckoning. It is absolutely insane here, absolutely tight. Let's hop on board with Romeo Mandla, who lit things up at the beginning, or rather towards the end of Q2 out here, and of course crashed out before setting a representative time in Q3. Romeo is under immense pressure to secure his playoff spot at the very least before the end of the season. Currently sits third bottom of the championship standings. P11 currently. He has dropped 2 places since the beginning of this race. Oh, he takes liberties with the curves there, goes quite heavy. And Romeo, of course, having started on a pair of soft compound tires, will have to come into the pits much sooner than the likes of course, the Malusi, Seaclay, and the rest of the grid that is running medium compound tires. It is Romeo hunting down Nebo in the Haas. And as we get to the end of lap 3 here, what can he do towards the end of this lap? And on that start-finish straight, will he be close enough to take advantage? Well, you will hope so, as will this man. It's Kaboza, the sole running Red Bull out here in Hungary. They will open up that DRS and look at how much battery power Kapoza is using to try and catch up at the back of the McLaren. Will Romeo think about it? Yes, he does. He takes a peek on the inside. He puts that nose input, and Neville has got things covered. Let's catch up now with the battle for the race lead. Up here it is Seaclay looking to take advantage of Josh, aka Damnesia. I would have you know that Kaboza has lost his place. And there's a bit of a battle happening here, actually. Let's catch up back with this battle. It's a 3-way fight between the McLaren, the Haas, and the Red Bull. And Romeo has overtaken Nebo. He now leads this 3-way between these 3 constructors. Absolutely sensational. Romeo knows he's got his work cut out. He will be among the drivers that will have to come in when these soft tires give out. Now, Hungary is, of course, not exactly the easiest as far as taking those soft tires on a long run, but Seaclay has bridged that gap, has trimmed that gap to Josh, aka Damnesia, to about 3/10 now. And I would have you know that Malusi has taken advantage of the defensive work that Josh is having to do to extend his lead, and it now stands at about 2.8 seconds. Mello the Mello leads by 2.8 seconds as Seaclay will have DRS. He's on the back of the McLaren, and it should be a comfortable overtake. Will it? Josh is eking out that battery, but Seaclay has the inside line going into turn 1, and he gets that move done as Josh is a bit of a snap, trying to defend from Titus now. It's Josh breathing in the fumes on the back of that Ferrari as Titus is looking to have a say on this battle as well. Meanwhile, there's a titanic scrap happening between Seppo Temba and Loveness. I will catch up with that in a second, because right now, Seaclay is hunting down the Mercedes while thinking about that chasing pack of Josh and Titus. It doesn't look like Josh is very comfortable here on these soft compound tires. Just 4 laps old, but already Josh loses ground to whoever he's chasing. Josh is not having a good time chasing all of these drivers now. Seaclay on those medium compound tires has managed to keep that gap fairly consistent now at about 2.7 seconds. When Josh was in P2, you would remember, that gap was slowly, incrementally increasing by a factor of a couple of tenths each lap. And right now, Josh, who's struggling with the chase, finds himself behind by 1.2 seconds. And going so slow, you can be well and truly sure that Titus in the Haas will not need a second invitation. He will open up that rear wing as Josh tries to weave to the left and right to break that toe, but it will not be enough because Titus will tiptoe into P3.
Titus vele yabona nonke chance uzovela ithatha uzovela angazi Josh maybe you're damaging wing, maybe that's why I struck kanje.
Maybe he did damage his wing. Let's catch up with Seppo Temba. He was coming out of that start-finish straight with a potential overtake on his own on Loveness, who is running in that Williams in P5. Meanwhile, the likes of Nebo and Capoza are having a Titanic scrap back there. The 86er and Infundo had to pit earlier than the rest of this grid, and they are languishing in P14 and 15 respectively, all the way at the back of this grid. Seppo Temba now had to relent and let go of the throttle, and that's allowed Loveness a little bit of breathing space by a factor of a couple of tenths. And that has allowed Loveness to breathe a bit. But having said that, Loveness goes wide through that winding sector too, and will Seppo Temba be able to take advantage here? And we know exactly he will not give you anything. He will not, of course, give you any breathing room whatsoever. Now it is Titus chasing down Cicle. He got that overtake done earlier on, and now Cicle has somehow managed to break that gap. Josh pits early. Lap 7, he comes into the pits. It's an early stop. What compound of tire will it be for Josh, aka Damnesia? Let's see. Loveness is also in the pits, and Josh has opted for a set of medium compound tires. It's only lap 7 of 35, so I don't know if he will, how long he will take these tires. They could conceivably go to the end of this race. I'm sure we saw Tabo T9. I'm not sure if the stream was having issues here. My connection pretty much stayed intact, but I see that our viewer count has dropped significantly. So I'm not sure if there were, if the stream dropped here. I just keep on checking the stream now. Well, the race lobby is fine, but the connection is fine. Please just let me know if you can hear me clearly in the comments, and if the picture is fine as well. We do apologize for that. I'm just checking to make sure that everything's fine on the stream side. We do apologize that I do hope that the stream is fine. I do see that it is back now. There was a little bit of a blackout, and I was trying to sort out the issues there. Let's watch the 86er having Titanic scrap with Infundo now, and he is for that. Some technical issues here, but we are back, and I would have you know that Cicle is hunting down Mello the Mellow here.